Warrior, welcome. We are live, so let's talk about a couple of issues I think we all need to know about, even during this holiday season. But first, I want to make sure you can hear me. So give me the old 5 by 5. Weigh in, in the comment section. Somebody said to me just this morning, why are you working this holiday season? Because I am working nonstop. When you work in the field of trafficking, slavery, protecting children, there is no holiday. Crime does not take a holiday. Protecting our children does not take a holiday. So that person said that to me. Then this afternoon, somebody said to me, I look at your videos. They wrote to me and they said, you always look so miserable and unhappy. Well, I'm here to say I talk about subjects, reality, truths in America that most people do not want to discuss. And they're ugly and they're dark. So I don't sit around smiling. So you get what you get. But you know what? Protecting our children does not take a holiday. I do not see any comments in the comment section. So I want to make sure you can hear me as we continue on, because once I start talking, I just don't look at anything. Sometimes I don't stop. The first thing I want to start with, though, is welcoming you. And then also, please, reminding you to subscribe, because this issue of people being unsubscribed is out of my control. So I want to remind you to please take a look, make sure you are subscribed. And if you haven't, that's okay. It's not really okay, because about 70% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed. I can't figure that out because it's free. You might as well help us out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little button with the likes. Come on, help us get these algorithms into the mix on YouTube to get out these topics, subjects that aren't discussed readily. I'm sure you're all exhausted from the holiday season, but frankly, it's just begun because we have to go right through until New Year's, right? But our work at the Warriors never stops. I want to start with the state of Florida, but I want to make sure. Okay, I see that there are 17 people, now 18 watching, that you can hear me, because I don't see any comments. So I want to make sure, would somebody please check in with me that you can hear everything? Because, this technology could possibly be the you-know-what of me. Okay, I'll wait till somebody checks in before I continue. Let's go. Somebody put a comment that you can hear me. I'm coming in loud and clear. Okay, there we go. Fred, thank you. Thank you, Fred, for being the brave warrior that you are and hearing me loud and clear. Let's go. I'm very concerned about something, the state of Florida. As of January 1st, they are banning most social media for kids 14 and under. Now, what does this really mean? I am not a banner. I actually did a video on it yesterday, and I got a lot of flack from people writing to me. I am the first one that wants to protect kids online. I am the first one that will go to the front of the line as a warrior and protect and educate and help kids and families, right? With all of these issues, banning is not the answer. Why are people fighting for banning? So let's get back to Florida. So everybody did a hip, hip, hooray, ha, 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 this is great. But this is clearly unconstitutional, banning any of this, right? Let's break it down a little bit. It sounds good and everybody is so excited. We can all agree. There are plenty of studies that show us work being done. There are different algorithms very harmful to our kids and teens, big tech on purpose. Let's all call it big tech BS for shorthand. We know what they're directing towards our children. Their goal is making money, and our kids are the eyes, the ears, our future adults, the purchasers of all of this, these addictive qualities. Adults suffer from it too, but we're focusing on kids right now. So there are these studies that say, yes, addictive algorithms. We know about it, okay? Frederick says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Frederick, don't rush it. We haven't gotten to the new year yet. It's coming though. Zoe Bonnie says, listening and cooking dinner. Now, Zoe Bonnie, what are you making? That's the interesting question. Papa Kilo 2 says, ooh, 5 by 5, Mrs. L, thank you. Lionel Nation says, your message and volume are loud and clear. Thank you. My better half, Lionel Nation. So let me get back to Florida. So as of January 1, they miraculously, this is the part I can't understand. This is the part when I'm in Washington and I ask these kind of questions, or when I'm part of different roundtables or coalitions, I never get any answers. How do you actually enforce on January 1, 2025, banning social media in the state of Florida? Now, let's think about this for a minute. 14 and under, they are going to kick off, and we're talking about Facebook, X, Instagram, uh, TikTok, Snapchat. If they think these social media platforms, you're a child, 14 and under, they're going to just kick you off. And then you have 90 days to appeal this. What if you're not a kid? So there's a lot of questions here. Now, if you're 14 and 15 with parental consent or a guardian's consent, you can be on the platforms. So I ask, well, who's working on all this? Who's determining all this? Where's the man woman power at the big tech platforms? These, don't you always think of these places as like, I don't know, pie in the sky kind of like AI places with like hundreds of people behind desks and computers? I kid you not. It may seem like that. The only place I can think of that really seems like that is Google, because I've been there, Google in New York. And that is just another world, but we'll leave that for another discussion. But they don't have, and they have admitted, X, Facebook, we do the best we can to protect kids online, but we don't have the manpower and woman power. We don't have the resources. Can you believe they tell us that when they're making billions off the backs of our children? And so who's enforcing in Florida? And AG Ashley Moody, Attorney General Ashley Moody said, yes, indeed, this is happening, but we're having a hearing in February, and then we'll determine how this shakes out, how it plays out. Because right now, everybody's clapping and applauding this, and I want to know how it's being enforced. And I've just been met with blank stares. It is, frankly, not the answer banning. The answer is parental supervision. The answer is or a guardian, because we have to remember in America today, the families are made up of all kinds of, grandparents raising kids, older siblings raising kids, aunts and uncles. So the traditional family is definitely there and at the forefront, but we've got a lot of kids. Keep that in mind in this untraditional household. So the adult has to be in some way, shape, or form open and honestly talking with the kids. You have to be communicating. You have to be part of this. I don't know if you want to call it a revolution, because we live in a digital world. It's not going away. We're not going back to 1950, 60, 70, and 80. It is here to stay. We have to learn and get to the forefront and be the leaders on how to protect our kids. We have to take those extra 5 minutes a day, I don't care, and do it. Now, that being said, I know it's tough. Kids are extremely smart, savvy when it comes to technology. And I know plenty of older people, because I hear this a lot. Well, I didn't grow up with technology. I don't know how to do that. Well, you better learn, because I know plenty of people, including myself, including my husband, lots of people who have adapted to technology, who learn it. I mean, frankly, you can YouTube anything and get a tutorial and learn how to do it. You got to take the time, and you just have to concentrate for a couple of minutes. And so I don't understand Florida putting this banning out that everybody was just clapping for. That is not the answer. The answer is holding big tech responsible in some way, shape, or form, right? But not banning. And the other thing we want to keep in mind is, frankly, kids have grown up, and we have to put ourselves in their shoes, because I find a lot of adults really don't do this. Kids have grown up with technology, right? So all of a sudden, you're just going to rip it away from them. That causes as much harm, I think. And there are different studies that say, taking a phone away, not a child not having a phone is harmful. There's ways around all of this and different resources that you can use, but you're not hearing about them, or you're not knowing about them, or you're not taking the time to learn about them. But for instance, ripping a phone out of a child's hands is punishment. That's not really the punishment. The punishment really is, I'm not kidding about this, because I know it's tough when you're in the moment, and it's always great to think of something, because we all do it. Like, after the fact, I should have done it this way, I should have done it that way. But if you arm yourself up front, you are going to then be prepared. So I say to you that, you have to talk to your kids age appropriately. It is up to you when you want to buy any of these devices, but I can't tell you other than, delay is the way. Who needs a phone before eighth grade or any of that? I understand the social pressures of other kids, but you know what? We do have studies where kids don't have phones and they're completely happy. And a lot of kids have started kind of a trend in their schools. Then the second one doesn't have a phone, the third one doesn't have a phone. That being said, you can also get phones that simply will allow the child to text or to call, and you can pre program numbers, just no internet. Now, again, that being said, your kids are still going to see things and hear things from other kids. It's just the way the world works. You've got to get out there and be the leader. We've got to be at the forefront of this. I'm going around that we don't take a break at the Warriors during Christmas, during Hanukkah, during Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. We have to go full steam ahead. I have gotten more individual reports in the last week of, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Can you fly this victim into New York? Can you work with the judge on this? I'm not kidding you. It never stops. So we don't take holidays. So thank you for all being here. Thank you, all of you who have volunteered, who have donated, who are interested, when we do our giveaways. It means so much to me. And this is the tip of the iceberg. But this Florida thing that everybody's making a big deal over cannot work. Who's determining? Remember, kids can sign up right now on most of these sites, most of these apps and all that. Age verification is, check off a box. Now, what is the age verification? They throw around the government ID. I'm against. What is that? What is that? Talk to your kids, right? Start with, get the kids off the devices. Maybe it's 15 minutes a day. Maybe it's working up to 1 day a week. But you have to be the example because the kids are watching us. I hear from kids constantly, well, my mom doesn't do that. I talked to my dad, but he said, no, I'm busy. I'm busy online. I'll talk to you later. And never talks to me. They are watching. I tell you this all the time and hearing everything we say. So as far as banning and everybody applauding, it doesn't work. Unconstitutional. We don't want to open up that can of worms where it's going to create other things down the road. We have to somehow, this big tech has been getting away, or big tech, as I like to say, with murder forever, right? They're just allowed. They rule the roost. They have the money. They are just running amok. Why is this being allowed? So we as constituents, we must, as hard as it is, I want everybody to make this commitment, at least with the new administration. We are going to be active to protect our children online. Whether you go to the X account of the Warriors and see a study I put out, or raise awareness and re-exit, retweet it, whatever it's called these days, whether you sign on to one of our take actions we put out, you must participate. The biggest thing I can tell you is you must talk to your kids. You must talk to each other. Your friends, your siblings as parents and grandparents, what's going on? Who can keep up with all of this? I can't. And I'm immersed in it. And I get all of my information nonstop from experts 7 days a week, sending me things, press releases, studies, things that we're not supposed to talk about, but I should know about. Did you see this? Did you see that? It never ends. And the most heartbreaking thing, can you imagine this holiday season? Before I go into that, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Kat says, hello, everyone. Hello, Kat. Oh, Zoe, when I said Zoe Bonnie, hamburger and fries sounds delicious, actually. Frederick says, New Year's wishes are ahead of time. It works in Danish. Don't know if it works in English. Frederick, thank you. I can't even say that, but thank you. Okay. What if your best friend is 16 or older and just lets you use their apparatus? Well, Fred, that's what I'm talking about. So like all of these laws and the applauding and we're banning, or it doesn't hold any water. It's not going to solve anything. So we've got to hold big tech, I'm going to say it again, somehow accountable. Now, I do agree about these dangerous algorithms, but the saddest thing I'm encountering is hearing from a mom today whose daughter harmed herself a couple of years ago. I'm going to leave it at that because of algorithms. What do you say to a parent? Can you imagine this holiday season, how tough it is on all of these parents whose kids have harmed themselves, they're not here anymore, And then I was going through, I was sent, this is something all of you can do every day, leveraging the internet for good. It's so simple. I'm urging all of you to do it. These missing kids. And somebody sent me, she's been missing 22 years now. And Nashville, Tennessee, little Tabitha. The last time her mother saw her, she went out to get the school bus, kind of rural, walks to the end of the driveway, never to be heard from again. We have a girl right here, 14 years old, Long Island. These are things you can go on our Facebook or on our X account and just put them on your account, because you never know if somebody sees or hears, or you don't know. And especially during the holidays, if you're anywhere around train stations or bus stations, airports, you might see or hear something. Always keep your ears open in the bathrooms. I kid you not. Those are the main places. Everybody's busy. Everybody doesn't want to get involved in things in these transportation hubs. In bathrooms, that's the main place kids are exchanged. Remember, when your gut tells you something, it's usually correct. You will not be held responsible if you're wrong. All it means is that you have a couple of seconds to alert somebody at the counter, at the airlines, somebody, so they can take it from there, because so many kids are missing. Can you imagine this holiday season? Your daughter went to get on the bus 22 years ago. You never heard from her ever again. I can't imagine a worse pain, a worse horror, a worse anything. And these cases are by the thousands and thousands. So I don't know. We've got to focus 2025 on these missing kids. I'm not kidding. Because we know a lot of them are just not around anymore. That's the brutal reality, but a lot of them are. Where are they? This is America. How are we letting our children be taken, disappear, run away? And that being said, kids do run away because they have horrible, horrible home lives. Horrible drug-addled parents, abusive parents or guardians, foster care, disaster, those places. That's a whole nother program. That needs to be retooled, redone. These are money-making machines. Remember, as a police officer pointed out to me, and it never occurred to me before until fairly recently, Lynn, if we solve problems, it does not make money. I never thought about that before, because I'm a problem solver. I'm one that gets in there. I'm one that helps. It never occurred to me we're going to let all this horror go on because it makes everybody a lot of money. And you know what? As crass and horrible as that is the exact answer. So we have to make the commitment. We're going to be looking for these missing kids, or talking about them, or at least just post their picture. Have you seen this child? Because I can't keep up with the amount. Nobody can. And even missingkids.org, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I notice on their Facebook, and they always put out photos, and they do a wonderful job. I don't care what anybody says. They are out there looking. They are out there finding. They're doing a lot of good work, okay? But they put out pictures of kids that always, to me, seem to be like 14, 15, 16, and 17. When we know, because I was told in New York State, the demand is for 0 to 2 years old. Now, just think about that for a minute. I hope you're sitting down. So we never see pictures of, we never see pictures of, the infant missing, or this. It's always like the older teens. And a lot of these pictures, the boys have mustaches, and people have said to me like, oh, that looks like a man. And I'm like, well, he is 16, 17, teenager. But we've really got to get in there also about all these younger kids. And I know it's shocking. And I know that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't put out those little kids are missing, because it's too upsetting. But we have to be real here. What are we waiting for? I mean, this horror story just keeps escalating. Let me make sure I cover some of the comments here. Let's see. James Stewart says, afternoon, folks. Fred says, I'm 73 and those age verification hoops are so annoying to me. Well, Fred, I don't, what are we going to do? Does anybody have suggestions here about how we're going to protect? Seriously, please weigh in. I want to know from you. How are we going to protect kids online? What are we going to do? And don't give me the old answer that it's up to the parents. Yes, it is up to the parents, but it is so beyond, because remember, wherever the kids are, so are the predators. They are 10 steps ahead of you, me, law enforcement. And then we've got that tricky big tech And despite everything they've said, they sat in front of Congress more than once. Mark Zuckerberg looked at parents and turned around to apologize. It was the most watered down apology. It made me sick. These parents whose children have been harmed from online. You have to remember when I say harmed, big tech even admits algorithms are addictive. So this one little girl had 7 different Instagram accounts and spent her whole night going from one to the other open Instagram accounts. Now you have to remember, all of this tech is opening your front door and welcoming the world in, not locking your front door. Who would do that? Who would do that? You wouldn't. So these devices, in essence, as an analogy, have to be locked down. Devices have to have friends and family. That's it. And even that, kids exchange information. Creepy adults might, be family members. I don't know. So we have to come together. Again, we have to make this commitment. New administration, new year. This administration is interested in protecting children. We have to all get on board. We got to pick up the slack in our own homes and communities, because big tech isn't going to do it. Congress isn't going to do it. It is very disappointing about the Kids Online Safety Act, because again, that was not going into your privacy. It was simply saying, big tech, we know you have these dangerous algorithms. It is your responsibility to not show the kids these algorithms. Get rid of them. Kids don't have to hear about certain, eating disorders and more kinds of harmful things. They've got enough to deal with. And parents shouldn't have to always bear 100% the responsibility of doing the guardrails. Yes, you bought the device probably, you paid for the internet. You do have to participate somehow, some way. But, big tech has to step up as well. But how dare they? How dare they come testify in front of Congress, sit there, and just all of them say the same thing? We're doing the best we can do. The best we can do. And frankly, even, everybody applauds. I'm just here to tell you the reality. Even Twitter, when it became X and Elon bought it, the first thing disbanded was the Child Safety Council. And I never could get, that should be the last thing, never disbanded. But I could never get a handle on, with any of my sources, did he put new people in? Is he expanding that? Is he, because everybody was distracted with he let people back on the platform, which is a wonderful, great thing, right? They never covered that at all. Why would you go in and the first thing you do is disband the child safety, which again, the people on this, in this group even admitted we didn't have enough resources to keep up with anything, but we were trying. So if you're going to get rid of them, you want to have a clean slate, which a lot of people when they buy a company do. Bring in a new team and more people and pay them. And the fact I can't even get an answer, who's working on the Child Safety team? Facebook, can I have an answer, Mark Zuckerberg? Who's working on that safety team? Have you increased the numbers since you stood in front of parents and looked at them? I guess not. I guess he flew back to Hawaii, wherever that mansion is, and his underground bunker and all that, and just taking care of himself and his wife and himself and his family. But what about these poor parents and family members? Who's taking care of them? Because Congress is not doing it since Kids Online Safety Act was not passed. And frankly, it was so rewritten and watered down. And in the last few days, with the help of Elon Musk. So I thought, okay, well, it'll pass and at least we'll have something about dangerous algorithms. Nope. But I have a feeling in 2025, and please do not believe, I tell you this all the time, anything you read about Kids Online Safety Act unless it comes from me, because if you Google it, you'll get nothing but bad reports. It's stealing your privacy. It's going to steal information from LGBTQIA kids who won't be able to access things. Not true. This is to protect every single child. As a matter of fact, the original language had all children, right? Minors, 18 and under, all children. The language had to be changed in order to get a lot more people to co-sponsor it in Congress, specifically to LGBTQIA plus all children. Okay, all children to us is LGBTQI, all children. But they wanted that language and they got it. And it still didn't pass. But it has historic, passing the Senate in July, 91-3, bipartisan. We've got to do something. So I want everybody to be on board with all of these issues. We don't have time for holidays now. I mean, to the extent of a lot of these organizations, I'm getting these return messages. We'll be back January 6th. We're not in the office. How can you work in any of this? And I understand everybody needs some downtime and happy time and family time. I'm telling you, I'm deluged with people asking me for help in the last few days. Or can we fly somebody here? Can you help me with that legally? We all got to get on board with this. And let me just check some of these comments. Let's see. I don't want to miss anything. Kat says, now, Fred, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but everybody's going to be strong. Everybody's going to learn to become a warrior. Our hashtag is community creates change. That's where we're going in 2025. Strong, 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 not accepting any of this bad behavior. Like, you have to just tell yourself that every day. You got to wake up and be a warrior. No. Kat says, I agree and believe the Trump administration will help on the missing children, I hope. Kat, I agree with you, but I also think it's so overwhelming. And the first order of business is we've got the borders. I say borders because we always say like border. We forget basically water is a border because right now, basically nobody has really been speaking about this. San Diego is the hot spot. It has been for the last 4 to 6 months where people are driving up in boats. The cartels, it's a very well-oiled machine. So once, Arizona, Texas, and everybody was focused on that, well, they just went the other direction. And they're driving up and they're getting out. I actually saw somebody with a Gucci briefcase getting off of a little motorboat. I guess they take them so far and then bring them in, the cartel members on the motorboats. Because remember, the cartels run the border. Oh, they've got the apps they can apply. It's just, I'm not hearing too much border talk lately, except that when the new administration comes in, it's going to all be stopped, all of this, and people sent back and criminals. But right now, the business at hand is the border. We've got Canada with New York State, people coming in up there. We're not talking about that a lot, right? Because again, we keep thinking of Texas and Arizona. We don't have a lot of people or resources working in these areas. And frankly, San Diego, they're jumping out of the boats, running up on the beach, disappearing. Okay. So the first order of business is closing that up and getting rid of criminals that have, broken into our country. And we've got these 500,000 plus kids, unaccompanied minor, illegal alien children, because that's what they are. Let's call them what they are. They also broke into our country. And can you imagine? Other countries really must be laughing at us and looking at us like we're stupid. Like, who allows this, right? Obviously, the American public doesn't want it, as judged by the American public spoke on November 5th, right, everybody? But so we've got to do all this work beginning right away on January 21st. The wheels are in motion already. Things are happening behind the scenes. And then we've got to find or do something with this over 500,000 kids, which that's what we know about. So that it could be 1 million kids. We don't really know. Anything with missing kids is always a murky number. Like, you don't really ever know. But what we do know is the number is always higher than reported. So we're reporting now 500,000 plus. Could be 1 million. So we got to find those kids. Then we have our American kids. American kids. Missing. We have approximately, and I love how people sometimes try to fight me on this. But I'm here to give you the truth. On an average, we have 2,300 children, American children, that go missing every day. Now, you do the math. I'm not doing it for you. Those children can be sex trafficked, labor trafficked, runaways. That's a big problem when kids are in a bad household. I started talking about that earlier. They have no choice. I understand kids running away when you're abused in the home. And they think they can survive, right, on the streets, or they think they can find a way out. We know, we used to say, within 48 hours, they'll be approached by a trafficker. We know that now it's 24 hours or less. And remember, kids are still kids. I don't care how tough they act. I don't care, what they say, what they think. It's just not the reality when you're out on a cold street. It's not the reality when you're hungry. It's not the reality because people are naive, right? Especially kids. If somebody nice, especially let's take a girl, for instance. Let's just say she's 14. She runs away and she's got her plan. She's got $50. Doesn't go far, right? You're trying to buy some food. She thinks maybe she'll get a job or she'll stay in, some shelter or something. She is approached by a woman who seems very friendly. Oh, what are you doing? Because I can always pick out the kids at the Port Authority bus terminal if I'm walking by, or the people waiting for kids who get off those buses. I can just tell. And you could probably tell too if you looked around. And, maybe, oh, do you need some help? Or kids will say, like, which direction is something? Person starts talking to them. But let's use the teen girl as a scenario. And the woman says, oh, okay, I'll walk you. I'm going that direction. I'll walk you that way. And maybe the teen starts talking a little bit. And, oh, are you hungry? This woman will say, oh, let's grab a bite. And these people are very patient. And they will cozy up. And so the teen just lets their guard down a little bit, doesn't think anything. Oh, you're looking for a place to stay? Oh, okay. Well, I know a place. My friend runs it. It's that kind of scenario. And then the person is enslaved. Because remember, at the Warriors, we are now calling human trafficking human slavery. It is a much more descriptive word. It's the enslavement of people. And that's how easily it happens. And I know kids say it'll never happen to me. Escalating. We've got 2,300 kids, so we got the runaways. And then we have the familial, of course, the custody, things like that. So that's part of the 2,300 too. But I don't care if it's one child. That's one child too many. Let's look at some of the comments. Kat, I just got an Amber Alert on my phone for a missing child. Kat, I don't know where you are. It's okay. You don't have to say, but like, if Amber Alerts, I'm in New York State, New York City. Our phones, everybody, would be going off nonstop, 24 hours a day. I rarely get an Amber Alert. And why is that? Right? Shouldn't we have some kind of system where maybe not bells are going off? I'm telling you, because it would be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It would be nonstop for all the missing kids, but some sort of system where we get some sort of text message or something like that. And I guess you could opt out if you want. But where are these Amber Alerts? Because I'm very rarely getting one. That's another question I ask, which is met with blank stares. I'm told, well, we send out our most egregious cases, or I'm like, they all are. There's not one more desperate than the other. Again, met with stares. So we've got that. We've got to work on that in the new year. But getting back to the new administration, they will do their darndest. I have full confidence in them to be on top of and work on all of these issues. However, it is overwhelming. It's not just magically going to disappear. As a matter of fact, this past year, we had over 36 million reports to the cyber tip line. And that's up from 32 million from the year before. So that's 4 million plus. And that's a wonderful resource all of you should know about. Anything with your children, your grandchildren, your friends. You do not erase pictures, dialogue. You report it to cybertipline.org. They will take over the case for you. Again, if you're wrong about something. You're not held responsible. But think about 36 million reports. And remember, most people don't report any of this because they're embarrassed. They'd rather erase stuff. They'd rather yell at the child. They don't report it. But we got 36 million. And I'm afraid what the year coming up is if we went up 4 million in 1 year. Remember, the numbers are always higher. Let's see. So we have a lot of work to do. But, the new administration needs each and every one of us to be part of it in our own way, whatever we can do. They cannot handle all of this, okay? I believe the last Trump administration was putting very good pieces together and doing good work. But 4 years, they needed 4 more years to get a lot of things going, which they didn't have. So now they've got 4 years. But I want to remind everybody, we have to remain vigilant now. We have to think about 4 years from now. I'm not kidding. And don't say, well, let's relax. We got this. And no, we cannot relax at all. We have to be looking over our shoulders, I should say, every single day. Be tough, be vigilant and make a commitment. Nobody is doing this to us. Nobody is going to do to our precious children what's being done and is allowed to be done. And nobody, what this Biden-Harris administration, I'm sorry. I try not to ever say that name, those two names, but I have to. They are complicit, this administration, in, frankly, they're still in charge, but has anybody seen them? Because I feel like Trump's already president. I don't know where these people are, but they are complicit, Biden-Harris administration, in the largest human trafficking operation in the world. And that is fact. Well, I should say that is my opinion. I shouldn't say that is fact, but numbers tell us the truth. So again, do the math, that this wasn't addressed. This was allowed intentionally. So we've got all these unaccompanied minors missing in the interior of the United States, undoubtedly a large percentage of them sex and labor trafficked, just gone. We've got our American kids. This is where our focus has to be at in 2025, empowering all children, okay? We cannot allow what is going on. Let's see. Leanne says, I'm happy to see you live. Thank you. I know it's the holidays, everybody, but I keep saying we have to be vigilant. We have to be vigilant. And we have to keep talking about this. And we have to say, it's not going to happen on our Warriors watch. Like, it's not going to happen on your watch. It's not going to happen on my watch. But seriously, if anybody has any idea how the state of Florida is going to be enforcing, like, kids can't be on social media, 14 and under, let me know. Because, like, I'm not getting any answers from the so-called professionals. So it's not going to work, this banning. That word alone, banning. Don't like it. We don't ban anything. We discuss, we critically analyze, we come up with solutions. That's what we're supposed to be doing, at least I think. Fred says, maybe peer pressure could somehow come to bear. I have no answer for age verification. It's just my nemesis. You know, I sat at a meeting. I'll leave out some details. But it was it was a technology person, an expert. And she had developed this age verification technique that we could all use. And I really was not understanding it. Because the age verification technology, and I'm breaking this down very simply, but it was I really didn't understand it, would somehow, you put your hand and it could read how old your hand was. You put it on your computer. That doesn't prove anything to me. Maybe an older person has like a young hand. I'm not kidding when I say this. I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not a tech expert. And then it can look at a face and it can determine kind of the age. That teen could be 16 to 18. This doesn't seem like a good system to me. Does it seem like a good system to you? How does that prove anything? And again, anything with tech we know can be hacked, right? So I'm not for this technology, age verification. I don't know what that is. To me, it's not clear cut. And if I don't understand it, how can you understand it? When I'm in the thick of it dealing with these people, these are the so-called experts who can't explain it to me. Again, it goes back to open and honest, talking to your kids about what's going on. That's what it comes down to. And taking control sometimes of those devices, as far as we put them away at bedtime. None of us, you're not having devices in your bedroom. I mean, to hear a little girl was on 7 different Instagram accounts. She had multiple devices laid out on her bed. And parents will always say, like, we didn't realize, we didn't know it was dangerous. Well, everybody's got to wake up and start learning to be a warrior. It's all dangerous. Let's just see what else everybody has to say. What about age filters like the alcohol companies have? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not hearing anything out of Washington that makes any sense to me about all this age verification. So we have to see. I mean, let's just say if Elon Musk is supposed to be at the forefront of a lot of these things, like maybe he can come up with a plan. I'm waiting. Something that works. And that reminds me, I said to my husband, why can't we all have Starlink? Why do we have to pay for the internet? Seriously. Why don't we all get that? If they can hook that up in emergency situations for people, which is wonderful and great. Like, why aren't we all having that? Why do we have to pay all these fees? Oh, that's another program for that. Some ex-post sites were posting underage photos, but recently I haven't seen them showing up. All right, that's good. They probably moved them, Fred. Here's the reality, to another site under a different name. Because when things get hot somewhere, as opposed to like people start talking about it, cracking down, calling them out, they just switch it to another site. I'm gonna leave that for a while. The problem with alcohol and cigarettes here, the age is lower, but disregarding, I'm trying to look at that. Let's see what that says. Is lower, but disregarding that is that their older friends can simply buy it for them because it isn't that expensive. The kids can pay. They've been doing that in America for like ever. The older kids are buying the liquor for the younger kids. I mean, that was happening when I was a teenager. I'm not saying with me, but I knew kids that were doing that. I was even approached when I was older. I said, absolutely not. No, we don't get involved in that stuff. Let's see what else we have here. Ignore New Mexico. Who's ignoring New Mexico? If you're talking to me, I'm not ignoring New Mexico. I don't know what that means. I said before, if we're talking about the border, every state's a border state. I had called out just San Diego with the water, with the ocean. And also I called out, the New York State border with Canada, coming through the woods there and the snow and all that right now. But every state's a border state. And frankly, right here in New York City, I haven't seen, now again, we had freezing cold weather for a couple of days. We've been having a lot of rain, but I'm not seeing on the streets the amount of illegals that I was seeing. So have they flown the coop and they're into the interior of the United States? But I'm hearing from other towns, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, they're not seeing these people like they were. So where are these people going? Maybe into, I don't know, up into the woods somewhere. How are they making money? How are they? Actually, though, I noticed in New York City when our mayor said he was cutting off their debit cards, there were a lot less people on the streets here. I think they went other places. Again, we don't know. We're going to pray the new administration gets a handle on this, but be prepared, be vigilant, because this is going to be the issue. We already know about the ACLU working, how to get out of this for these illegals. We're also going to have all these lawyers lined up helping these people. Can you imagine this? Not helping our own vets, not helping our own families, not helping our own children, empowering them in the education system, empowering the schools appropriately, not with stupid books that kids shouldn't be looking at, right? Feeding them ideas. So we've got to participate. I go back to that message. I will leave you with this. We have to be part of the solution. Nobody's doing it for us. And there are a lot of good people working on a lot of things, a lot of good resources. That's why I want you to follow me on the Warriors, because I promote a lot of organizations doing good work. Our good friend, Jan Edwards in Florida, Paving the Way Foundation, does terrific work with kids and focus groups and schools and community activities. Defend Young Minds. We've got our friend, she talks about, get ready everybody, porn. We have to educate kids, believe it or not, about porn, age appropriate. She's got books starting, at a very young age where you can read to kids. You're not giving them too much information because the kids are going to hear about it, see it, or be approached. So you've got to get the handle on it. That's defendyoungminds.com. I always promote protectyoungeyes.com. Our good friend, Chris, he does an amazing job with breaking down, which I like. I call them little nuggets. Like, this app came out today. This is what you need to know. This is how you deal with this. Terrific information. These are the sites you have to go to, and be very careful, because I take great offense to right now this subject matter of human trafficking. A lot of people jumping on the bandwagon, and I'm here to tell you, because we work with survivors and victims, and they all tell me the same thing, that there's basically no help for them, or next to no help, very little. So all these people talking about trafficking, talking about this, talking about that, just remember, if you're going to help them, give monies, whatever, be very, very careful, I'm suggesting, because we want everything to trickle down to you, to raise awareness and education, and everything we do at the Warriors to trickle down to survivors, victims, to help them, right? Because we want to get them out of that life, help them. There's so many people trying so hard just to survive. And certainly we don't want any of our precious kids getting involved in any of this horrific behavior. So think about all of this. Think about all the parents have had to go through. Their child is missing now. Their child fell to fentanyl. Another one in 2025. Cannot, because the cartels have been getting our American kids to deal their dirty drugs in our middle and high schools because they'll pay the kids, $300, $400, $500, and kids do things for money. They're also getting our American children to traffic their peers. Again, we've got cartels behind a lot of this. The cartels are working in all 50 states. How could this happen? How could we allow this? We got to get a handle on all this. But again, President Trump and the administration cannot do it all alone. We have to be the eyes, the ears, and you have to know resources. And if anybody during this period is in any kind of emotional trauma or feeling down, don't forget the resource of 988 is there for you, just to talk, just to ask about local resources. You're having a problem with your child, your teen, you can call them and say, what should I do? It is there for you. Do not be afraid to use these resources. There for you. Edie Crowley, there you are, Edie. Thank you so much. I have a piece of your beautiful artwork. I have it on the counter. We'll be bringing some things that you've created with Autumn to survivors this week. We have a couple of pieces left. We distributed everything in the last 2 weeks. Frederick says, so the same problem has been caused by mass migration here in Europe. Yep, all over the world. Edie, there's Leanne. Hi, Edie. Edie says, hi, Leanne. Now, we've got Andrew Hessing. Thank you, Andrew. So appreciate it. In the arena of trafficking, I think a citizen militia is needed. Federal, state, county have all failed. Same with drones. Who's helping? Not the gov. I have a little bit of problem with these citizens. Sometimes they are not. I understand what you're saying, but we would really have to think about this and have a very carefully trained groups. And that could get a little out of control. But I think, Andrew, it would be good if we start like chapters. We already have like Mom Army. I bet you don't know about them. Dad Army out of California. Moms in America. But we need to, the other problem with all of this work is people are working separately. Now, all these meetings I'm in, it's like, oh, people working in silos. Because I actually thought when I started, remember trafficking, this chose me. I didn't choose this. This came to me and I have to do this work, right? I have to help the children, the people, the families. They work separately. See, I thought everybody would collaborate and come together, and they don't. They just all work separately. Can you imagine if all the groups, because what I do, another group doesn't do, and I want to hear about what they do, and I try very hard to give props and to focus on the channel when I interview people or talk to people. How are we going to get this all to the forefront? Like, that is my goal. This has to become part of our lives, right? And people are very resistant to that. They do not want to do that. And I don't understand that. I guess they're threatened. Think they're trying to raise money. They won't get it if they're involved with other. I don't know. All I know is collaboration works, right? True collaboration. But I'm going to say it again. Be very careful, because there are a lot of people out there jumping on the bandwagon who do nothing. When you can put out in this field, you're taking a 3-week vacation because it's the holiday, you're not the real deal. So we have to figure out. But I like that, Andrew. We could start, like at the town, for instance, like community center. This is one of my dreams. And I've done a lot going around talking to communities in libraries, gyms, things like that, churches. You do get a group. And then if that group takes the information I feed them, for instance, like this is what we're looking for, this is what we need to talk to the kids about, or talk to our schools about, or talk to each other, spread it out to other parents, community members. But to actually, it becomes a little dangerous. We can't go out hunting for people. I just got done telling you the cartels, right, are operating a lot of the trafficking, not only the sex and labor, but also the drug trafficking. So it has to be very carefully dealt with. Let us see what the new administration comes up with. Again, I know they have things in the works already, and see how the community can participate in that. But you're right. Community must come together somehow, but we can't go out and be harming other people. Or what if we make a mistake? What if we have the wrong person? So we have to be very careful with that one. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, but Andrew, you're right. They have all failed. You'd think this would be at the forefront, right? Like protecting kids. But remember what I said earlier, if you solve problems, it doesn't make money, everybody. So we've got that. Drummers against ick. Okay, I think I'm reading that right. Thank you, Lynn, for all your work. Unbiased and straight reporting. Continued success. Thank you. Thank you, drummers. I don't care about success. Thank you for saying that. I care about giving you information. I care about protecting kids. I care about helping with supportive legislation that will protect kids. I care about the new administration really doing the job to get us on the right track. Again, we have to be concerned. Can't do everything in 4 years. It's 4 years from now. We need 8 years. So lining that all up, always playing this game of chess where it's about the future, right? We cannot just be in the day. It has to always be, we have to be the ones 10 steps ahead and not allow all of these predators. How ridiculous is this? I have to tell you, the predators are 10 steps ahead of us. Law enforcement repeats that no matter where I am in the country and I talk to law enforcement, that's what they say to me. Well, the predators are 10 steps ahead of us. Well, how do we get in front of them? And then I hear we don't have the manpower. I always hear manpower. I throw in woman power too. Woman power. Okay, well, where are the resources that we have to get from our government? Whether it's the city or it's the state or it's the federal government to empower all of this. Like, that's where we have to go. But I'm going to remind you again, you must talk to your kids. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You don't give them too much information, age appropriate, but they're knowing and hearing everything anyway. My goodness, we've had all this fighting the kids have seen, right, playing out around the country. We've had drones that are scaring kids. We've just had weather situations scaring kids. So don't continue the pattern. You talk to them and reassure them that you're there and you love them and they're safe with you. James is saying hello to Edie. Lori Lewis, thank you very much. Super sticker. Kat says, I live in Washington State. Most of the Amber Alerts are a family member or possible stranger traveling in a car with a child that was abducted. Kat, the few Amber Alerts I've gotten, it's always like they're in this car. We're looking for this license plate. And then I don't hear anything. And then maybe I Google by the next morning or later that night, and it's like family found or with father or something like that. So let me just leave you with a couple of other things as well. Leslie says, I would like to get involved to do something to help. Instead of just talking or feeling some kind of way, I would like to do something. Well, Leslie, there's plenty to do. I mean, first of all, join Lynn's Warriors. Make sure maybe you become a member. We have a little membership here. You'll get your videos first. I want to build that in the new year with some private content where I can expand a little more than I do here. And also use your platforms to spread our information, whether it's a study, whether it's a story, whether it's you put out 988 is a free resource for everybody. That is good enough. Look up in your town where you live or contact me, Lynn at lynswarriors.org. What is in my town? What is nearby that I can volunteer with? It starts there. There is such a need, but every little bit helps. So obviously donations and things like that help as well, but everybody can't do money. There's so many things. You're here right now so that you're participating. So on your platforms, share the video later when it goes out. That is helping. Let's see. I think I'm going to wrap it up for everybody. Let's see. We've got Karen Peterson. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. How is it charity organizations are receiving money and they are trafficking people, or am I missing something? Well, Karen, that is, again, I'm not a lawyer. I only know what the Warriors are doing. I don't know what other people are doing. But I am saying to you, make sure you do your vetting and make sure you really research things, because I find most people kind of jump on the bandwagon. like, oh, a lot of people are giving to X organization, so I'll just give. Do your research. Know where your dollars go. Know what's happening. But remember, talk is cheap, everybody. We know all this is bad. We know all this is horrible. We want take actions. We want to urge our government. They work for us. We're the constituents, that you do something about our precious kids. Like, we just don't want to talk, because I see these people online, they get big numbers, but all they do is sit around and talk about this and that and call people names, and it's horrible. Repeat what they heard in the news. No, we want to come up with, as warriors. And again, start thinking about this, everybody, as we go into the new year. I like the idea about the militia, how we could do that, correctly in communities, looking out for other kids and educating each other, how we build upon that, but how we really, really, really have to hold this government accountable, Republicans and Democrats alike, because I received a very nasty letter. The person told me they didn't like me. I should stop talking about the Republicans. Well, first of all, don't waste your stamp on me, because I give you truth and facts. I'm an American. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can just turn it off. You don't have to listen. But Republicans and Democrats alike have failed our children in Congress. Sorry, that is the truth. They have failed our children to protect them. They go right to the line. There's a lot of talk going on. There's no real protection. Big tech, BS, has been ruling everything. The second thing is, and it is proven, Republicans and Democrats alike in the United States like cheap labor. So they're both hiring a lot of kids. Those are the facts. You don't like what I'm saying? You don't have to listen to me. That's fine. Those are the facts. So let us come together as Americans, or let us come together wherever you're from, because Frederick's from another place. It is about empowering, holding those elected officials responsible, even if, and don't say to me, it doesn't matter. If we make a lot of noise, we come together, we keep it up, we keep sharing the information. And then in our homes, we got to talk to the kids. The number one thing I would tell you. Leslie says, I first heard about Ricky Martin's foundation years ago to stop human transport. That's great, Leslie, but you know what? I hear about it once a year around Super Bowl time. Then never hear about it again. So this is something you have to be in, 24 hours a day. And I agree, Leanne, about foster kids. That is a whole system that has to be retooled, is the word I'll use. And also, I want to give a great big shout out, I think, to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, because he really stayed strong about the border. He did things. He's involved in lawsuits. He really, we don't give him enough credit. He really did a lot. We want to start calling out more the people who really have done and are doing good work, and we want to support all of them. And I want all of you, promise me, think about everything we talk about here, and please lend when we come together again in the next few days. Again, you can always write to me, lynn@lynswarriors.org. Think about things we can do at the local level that we can build upon in our communities and start really working on, because we can't have this continue at all. Let's see where we're going with this. I want to thank Karen Peterson for your support. I also want to thank Lori Lewis. Lori, you've been with us for years. Thank you so much. And Andrew Hessing, you're around all the time. Andrew, thank you very much. I want to make sure I caught everybody. I want to thank you for joining me. I know it's not easy to hear these things, to hear me talking about them all the time, but if not me, who? So let us all be these instruments and help each other. And remember, be kind. Be kind to each other. Be kind, okay? Remember what the holiday is really supposed to be about. And tell the kids, talk to the kids about all of this. I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to let all of you go. I've been talking about an hour. I didn't realize I was talking that long. Thanks for joining me. Look out for our next live talk. And don't forget, come on now, support us. Become a member. It's pennies a day, and it helps us tremendously with our work. Take good care, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.